What up, Reason Gang? It's your girl July from Kickback Couture, and today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Let's get straight into it. Today I have 5 tips for mixing kicks and bass. The first tip is going to be sample selection. If you have a punchy kick and a punchy bass, you're not gonna have a good time making them fit together. So I used my Moog Matriarch and I recorded 2 versions of this bass. One of them is more plucky and the other I turned down the attack, or I turned up the attack, shall we say, so that it is less plucky. So this is the original. Very subtle, so you may not hear the difference, but here is the version with the slower attack. Alright, and the reason that I lowered or brought up the attack is so that this kick right here would fit better with the bass. This is what it would sound like with the one with the immediate attack, the bass with the immediate attack. And it isn't that bad, but it overall sounds smoother with the slower attack. So if you're inserting basses in something like a grain or an NNXT, a pluck or anything like that, beware of this attack fader here, slider we call it. You can bring this up a bit and get rid of some of that initial attack. One thing I forgot to mention, the drums I used in this example are on my website for free. It's called the Just Blaze drum kit. Go grab that. In other words, you can't have a punchy kick and a punchy bass play well together. One of them has to win. And most likely you might want that kick to win. So you'll keep that kick attack down, like here in the ADSR, and you'll pull that attack up on your bass, which is what I did on the Moog Matriarch specifically. Now I realize everybody probably doesn't have a hardware synth, so I'm going to show you what that would look like in a bass plugin inside of Reason. So this brings us to tip number 2. Use that ADSR. So here, obviously I used a hardware bass, which was from the Moog Matriarch, but if I had one in monotone so that you could see it visually, you'd want to pull up the attack so that the kick can have its own space. So this is what it sounds like without the attack pulled up. And if we pull this attack up and bring the volume down, we can even turn down the filter envelope, this decay area where it's opening up. And make it a smoother sound. When you have a synthesizer or even a sampler that has an ADSR, you want to pull down the attack, and if you have any kind of filter envelope going, you want to go ahead and minimize that so it's not as punchy at the beginning and it gives your kick some room to breathe. But if you did want to leave it like that, there are some options. This brings us to Sidechain Compression. In Reason, you flip over to the back of the rack with the tab button, you'll get access to the sidechain options, right? So here we have a kick and we got our bass up here. I also made a bus just in case I wanted to bus both basses. I only want to use this one with the slower attack. So I'm going to take the parallel output of this kick and drag it up into the sidechain input of the bass. Another way to do that is to right click, find your track, and then select the correct input. And it'll automatically route the right one as well as the left, right as in the direction. Now what we could do is jump to the mixer. So I'm going to do that from the bass. And we're going to open the dynamic section. Let's go ahead and close this. We have our kick and bass next to each other now. Let's turn on this compressor and let's see what it's doing without us touching anything. Okay, now that is doing a little bit of work. If we wanted to hear what is happening drastically, I'll turn the ratio up, the threshold all the way down to the left. Of course, we don't need it to be that drastic, so we're going to turn the ratio down quite a bit, and let's turn the threshold up. We're going to turn this release down so it'll come up quicker and we'll have less of that silence between when the bass ducks and when it comes back up. Here's the attack. I'm going to make that fast. Now that is the basic way to set up sidechain compression and Reason. Next, we're going to talk about our fourth tip. Our fourth tip is complementary EQ. So if I click on the Spectrum EQ here and I go to my relative tracks, let's start with the kick and let's look at what's popping up in the Spectrum. Now what I'm doing here is dragging this point to what area has the highest peak, and that's looking like about 60 hertz. So we have 60 hertz as the loudest frequency in this kick. I'm gonna put it on E mode and let's bring this up a little bit. I'm gonna put low filter bell to make it a bell curve. Boosting 60 hertz, about 2 to 3 decibels here. The kick is already hard, so we don't have to do any major work, right? This is with it, without it. Now, complementary EQ means we're also applying that same EQ to the bass, but we're reversing it. So at 60 hertz, we're going to dip on the bass. So I'm going to go back to the EQ and then we're going to go to our bass, turn that EQ on, E mode, low filter bell, drag it to 60 hertz and bring it down a few decibels. If you're listening to the bottom end, you can hear it gets a little more kind of boxy, punchy when we raise up that 30 on the kick, that 60 on the kick, and we drop it down on the bass. Another thing you could do is look at what is popping off in the bass. Boost that and then drop that down in the kick. But for now, I think we're good. And that brings us to advanced sidechain compression. What I mean by that is sidechaining specific frequencies of the bass so that the entire bass, the buzz, everything above where that kick is most present can still be audible even when the signal is ducking. Alright, how do we set that up? Track Spacer allows you to target specific frequencies to duck them. Now what I'm going to do is open up this area here. There is an optional audio in. I'm going to take this kick and create another audio out. So actually, rather than sidechaining this kick to the audio track, I'm going to put it straight into Track Spacer because Track Spacer is going to do it how I want it to be done. Alright. We're going to move the frequency to target the lows. Going to bring this down to about 100 to start. And this is the amount I want you to hear what's happening. So I'm going to turn that all the way up. Notice how the high, the buzz, high frequencies, and that bass are still 100% present. Now that is a much better marriage. So I'm going to play it without the effect. I'm going to bypass Track Spacer and then play it with it. With it. You can make this as nuanced or as drastic as you would like to. I encourage you to experiment with all of these ideas that I've been giving y'all. Definitely let me know what you would like to see next. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It's all culture, kickback, and cook up. I'm out. To not fuck it up.